Hey friends, welcome to my channel. Tomorrow's Halloween. My costume is sort of like early 2000s it girl vibes. I have like a little bit of a inspiration board. From what I can gather, it's very like heavy eyeliner, soft grunge, a lot of color eyeshadow. The palettes that I will be drawing my inspiration from are this Juvia's palette. This is the Masquerade. This one is the Saharan 2 and Subculture by Anastasia. Full disclaimer, these palettes are old, okay? I'm under the impression that pressed eyeshadow palettes don't expire. Let's get into the look, okay? First up, I'm gonna do a light prime under eyes and lids, and most definitely taking a concealer. This is the NARS Soft Matte Concealer all over my eyelid because I want to make sure I have a super duper flat base to start with. Since the outfit that I'm going to be wearing is pink, I feel like doing a pink eyeshadow look would be like too cohesive. The early 2000s is kind of reminiscent of like chaotic patterns, clashing styles. None of it made sense. So with that being said, that leaves room for like an icy blue, greenish type of vibe we're gonna go for. I'm taking this like grayish color and I'm gonna kind of carve out my crease a little bit, and taking a fluffy brush and just kind of blending that in place, upwards and outwards. Already I think we're off to a great start. Okay, now I feel like we have to add a little bit more depth to the crease because one thing about the early 2000s is we loved a smoky eye. So I'm going into the Subculture palette and the shade Mercury, which is like this kind of cool toned brownish taupish color, and going right into that crease area. And I'm not blending it up like I did with the gray tone. I'm just like super defining that crease. I'm also gonna take like the slightest amount of this brown color, take it on the outer edge of the lid proper to kind of serve as a transition. Going back in with that big fluffy brush, and I'm just going to buff out all the edges and also kind of take it up into a wing shape to follow the shape of my natural eyelid. Okay, with the same brush that I put the Mercury on, I'm going into Axis on the same palette because I do like that it already has that grayish color, and I'm going to continue the transition and just kind of stack it right on top there. Same situation, taking my blending brush and just moving it around in the place that I placed it. I'm not going to move it up and over like I did with that grayish shade. Okay, moves are being made. Now I think I want to get into these two colors on the Saharan palette. Taking a more flat detailed brush, I'm gonna go into the darker blue color and kind of place it in the middle, creating a halo effect. I'm gonna flip the brush to the other side and go in with the light color and take it all the way to the inner corner. And what would an early 2000s makeup look be if not for taking that shimmer all the way into that inner corner? Alright, I'm using Mob Cake Liner. This is the shade M90 and a thicker angle brush. And I'm going to create a thick liner stamp here towards the lash line into this inner corner, and then I'm gonna kind of blend upwards into the smoky eye section, taking just the taddest bit more of the Axis shade. I'm going back into and blending it out with that brown liner and everything right there. I'm gonna take this same brown cake liner and smudge out my bottom lash line all the way into the inner corner to that outer edge, and the Makeup Forever Artist Pencil in shade Whatever Black. Bottom lash line. I'm laying this on massively thick and into the inner corner, as well as the top lash line, adding just a little bit more of that transition blue here and ice blue in the inner corner. Just finishing touches of blending. I feel like the only way for this eye look to work is either with those like very 90s lashes or just like super clumpy mascara. So I'm going in with the YSL mascara in the shade 1. This is the black one, and I am just going to very frantically place this on because I don't know why. I feel like in the early 2000s, everything was rushed, everybody was late. You're just like, oh shit, let me put this mascara on in the car, on the way. Second coat, of course, because you cannot have clumpy lashes without a crazy second coat, and into the bottom lashes. Okay, eyeshadow, done. Now eyebrows. I feel like the early 2000s, we were very much still into the thin brow, so I'm gonna take some gel and kind of do my best to pinch down and fake a thin early 2000s brow without having to tweeze an early 2000s brow. Okay, now I'm taking my brow pencil. I don't think I want my eyebrow to look too done because I feel like we didn't really get into like a super done filled in brow until 2010s. But I am going to elongate the tail of this baby. Keeping the inside of my brows just super natural. Basically all I did was elongate the tails. And because the early 2000s was about a very flat base, I hardly ever saw any bronzer, but stark blush. Going back in with this NARS concealer, but around my eyes I want to do a little bit more precision since I don't really want to disturb this eyeshadow, and mascara here and under the eyes. And I'm just gonna cover up any redness, imperfections, and kind of help carve out the brows. Okay, taking my complexion brush and just kind of buffing out those concealer lines. All right, foundation wise, I'm going in with the Armani Luminous Silk and a blending kabuki brush. I'm just gonna buff that in. And then for blush, I'm going in with the Bobbi Brown. I think this is considered an illuminizing bronzer, but it's the shade Maui, which is like this really cute like pinky color. And I'm doing it right on the apples of my cheeks because this was the placement of blush back in the day. My eyebrows are kind of sending me, I'm not even gonna lie, so I think to even it out, I'm just gonna fill in this top part a little bit, and I feel like that looks instantly 10 times better. Okay, for this look, I think I need like a little concealer lippy moment. This is the ColourPop Lippy Pencil in shade BFF3, and I'm gonna do a little outline. And then buffing out the edges with a lip brush. And then this MAC lipstick in shade Love You Back. This is like the perfect concealer lipstick shade in my opinion, because it's literally just like the perfect cool toned lip transition color. Powder. This is a fluffy, dense brush, and I'm just going to kind of tap this in all over. Because one thing about the early 2000s is we were flat, okay? We were flat and we were matte. And then I'm also gonna set my lips. Finishing touches. And this is the final look. I feel like the hot pink chocolate phone and the high top Ugg boots with the juicy sweatpants frantically tucked in, it just makes it what it is. And of course, close up into the makeup look. Special shout out to the braids. I do need gum as a prop to like smack all fucking night, but yeah, this is gonna be my Halloween look. Ooh, actually, what am I doing? I'm missing a clear gloss, duh, and now it is what it is. As always, I would love to hear your guys' questions, thoughts, comments, and concerns down in the comment box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!